Welcome, everybody. My name is E.R. Anderson. I'm the Executive Director of Charis Circle. Woo! Charis Circle is a nonprofit programming arm of Charis Books, and Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. We are so excited to be back once again with Cliterati Open Mic. Thank you. Cliterati is co-hosted by two of our most favorite people, Karen G. and Theresa Davis. That's y'all. Our beloved feature tonight is Dagmar Jill Caldwell Spisak, also known as Jill Spisak to many. Jill turned to her passion for poetry to work her way through the death of her longtime lover, Sandra Hamer. Finally, these poems are collected in a book, Witness Cremation, which has just been published by Charis Literary. She has an earlier chapbook, Rachel, and has published poems in various journals. She also has poems forthcoming in Sinister Wisdom and a memorial issue of Common Lives, Lesbian Lives. She is scheduled to feature Cliterati at Cliterati tonight and in Gainesville, Florida at the Shambhala Center later this month. She reads and features sometimes at open mics around Atlanta, and she has 2 slams on her calendar for this fall. She is often found at Arts Exchange workshops, slams, and mics, and at Theresa Davis's Java Speaks virtual open mic, where she has also featured. She loves open mics, which keep her writing consistently, and slams, where she hones the performance of her poems. So Jill has been an important part of the Charis community and the larger Atlanta feminist community for a really long time, and it's our great honor to get to celebrate her work tonight. But first, we are going to open up the list and hear the voices of many folks. But as always, we like to begin with Theresa Davis and Karen G., our hostesses with the mostesses. So I'm going to ask them to come on up. Welcome to y'all.
Oh my gosh, this list is beautiful. This list has 12 people on it. Yay! Congratulations to all y'all who are brave enough to sign up. And if you were thinking about it, go right ahead. We're here for you and we will support you. We're all rooting for you. I'm going to start off with this piece I've been working on. I'm going to do this part too. And it's still in revision stages. So yes. And it's from a Marty McConnell workshop. Marty McConnell usually does these online workshops. Can link you to how to get involved with them and Vox Ferris. And it's usually like a lot of questions, like very generative workshops, ask questions and questions and questions. And this is inheritance is not just a rich people word, part 1. I've inherited thick thighs, a mortgage, pastels, lamps, wallets, dressers, dust, the body of my patrilineage, the veils thinning as my linear age grows. Objects are made more of wood than steel, flammable with feeling. I've inherited a house of salt, diminishing granules of payments and objects, donations and dumpsters, eating away and dissolving itself from bank accounts of paper. This is true, how so much of my inheritance is breakable, worn, electric, glass, but mostly wood, drawers, which hold sense of different houses and time periods, chapters of my life, more paper. Invisible worker hands created an inheritance, invisible carpenters, invisible foundation pourers from their own timelines, which were made into my family's timelines by paper, by distant uncle who made woodwork and tabletops I did not inherit, but other family members claimed with their hands and fingerprints on and around inheritances. Objects handed down, all hold weight, forests of wood, forests of paper, timber of thick thighs, rings of time only known when cut down. My own fingerprints are chalky, residue of boxes of pastels, ghost shapes and wisps of ash, remnants from unseen fires, from plastic to the earth overseen by trees. Single daughter, last one standing, idle tree of me standing thick-thighed, vulnerable to flames and tornadoes. I sink my roots deeper into the earth. I am elements brought together by family, tree, family, forest. First, it was grandmothers, both named Lillian Elizabeth. The center of me, my heart, carrying the middle name, an inheritance of letters engraved, Elizabeth, like a queen, like a knife to a school desk, made of wood. Without a crown, I am just a vessel. I lost them, and then it was my mother, and then it was my father, a funnel, an hourglass made of other hourglasses filled with salt and sand. Uncomfortable with numbers on check balances, I donate in paper over screens from accounts that glow. Transfers for airfare, rents, doctor's appointments that should have been free, furniture and expensive appliances. I make donations because I can while I can, knowing it is all made of sand, made of salt, made of flammable paper. It is all water and made of ground up wood. It will go up in steam, in smoke, in vapor, in fog, in survival and self-care. My inheritance are bound in leather, accumulated papers, shrunken trees, raised seals of will, and the will I'm developing to cut through them with my axes of ink and pen and keyboards. I am keeping the art. I am keeping the dampened and dried canvases, the blown glass that was once sand, curled and crafted into blue, red, multicolored swirls. I will hoard furniture. I will keep my thick body until it thins to nothing like theirs did. It will likely burn to ash, a dust, a kind of chalky pastel sand. The banks and the bureaucracies envy the inheritance of memories I hold, the way they who prey upon and perpetuate cycles, owed credit, scores and numbers. They are not for me. They are not for us. They are not for our survival. They are not my survival. Inadvertently seeing green, the scraping by friends who ask for money as if in expectation. Men envy my lineage. Men envy the ability to create, to pass on. I do not yet have freedom from the death chores, freedom from the decisions I have to make and their associated rights and wrongs, potential mistakes. My inheritance allows me to demand my own space, even for just this minute, and the taking up of it, allowing me to take up more space for my people too, even if only temporarily. And from my therapist's mouth, the more space you take up, the less space there is for demons to take root. My inheritance is a noise of paper and glass, grinding in thunder thighs and sand blown under heat and flame, a friction. My inheritance changes forms from elements. And having no children, I will leave my things to far-flung cousins, a will on trees I've only half written, the scavengers of curb and dumpster, unseen hands in corners and walls, like those that built the objects of the inheritance in the first place. In no way do I want banks to claim my afterworld, my afterlife. The life of me after belongs to the chosen family I've made. Traces of me and my family tree rings glowing on pages and screens. So that's some of that shit right there, which I thought was appropriate because our feature's done some grief work of her own. It's been very processy as I've witnessed it. And now we warm up the mic so you don't have to. Theresa motherfucking Davis.
Thank you. We've been putting in a mural at the Arts Exchange. If you have not been to the Arts Exchange, it's a lot of noise, a lot of feedback.
Yeah,
If you have not been to the Arts Exchange, you should consider visiting. This Saturday we have a slam. It is the All Voices Poetry Slam, and Okay, I can't find the poem I was going to do. Oh, wait, maybe it's here. So yeah, it's All Voices Poetry Slam. The early bird tickets are on sale until 5 o'clock on Saturday. It's a good time. You should come. The list is awesome. Some out of town poets are coming in. Mr. Fun is going to host. Karen G is going to be my bout manager, and I'm going to run around and do all the things that I'm supposed to do that I can't do when I'm hosting all the shit. But the board is like, how come you ain't got no pictures? I'm gonna take a picture and talk at the same time. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. I'm excited. So I wrote this at our open mic. I do Java Speaks every Sunday night, and Mr. Fun gives us a writing workshop. My son came into his own and decided he was going to join the military. I am anti-military. He still knows I will burn that shit down if given the opportunity. But I am proud of him for making a decision for his own life, for what he wants to do. I got my first call from him after 11 weeks on Sunday. And the first thing he said was, "Oh my God, Mom, I love and miss you so much." And I was just like, that's my new favorite sentence. But he graduates next Friday. So I'll be heading to Paris Island, but it made me, I feel like my creativity I still was being creative, but I wasn't like pulled in any way. And so I wrote this. It's still rough. I need to go through it. I am a heart overflowing, a remembrance of the past, face pressed up to the window of tomorrow. I remember the moment you found your feet, the asphalt begging you to run, and run you did. This boy, a gift I was told I could not receive. The doctor called him an oops baby. I called it divine intervention. The months carrying him, our hearts beat in sync. The work to labor you into this life, my third best piece of art. I believe in everything, even the miracles I threw away years before. Your gentle spirit, you're making me realize that boys also take issues with their bodies. You who told my eyes tear-filled about the bullying and the one time you considered taking yourself away from me. I reminded you of your feet, of how running works two ways. You can run away or run towards. After a TED Talk that could have benefited from editing, but it caught your ears. Your decision to act on your own life, your time troubled me. You talked about the fear of your decision, and my first thought was run. But remembering all of our honest conversations, 3 weeks without you, I realized you were running towards your fear. Knowing the trap that is Black in America, you wanted all the things society often denies: education, job security, the ability to take care of the ones you love, and if worse comes to worse, those you love metaphorically. I could hear the proud in your chest, the trust that your body could and would prevail, the confidence. I felt like a rock in a loud place, you said, and I could hear the poet in you, the sturdy in your step. We all believe you can do this thing, but you believed it out loud, and I heard you. I'm gonna work on that. Okay, I'm gonna do this other piece. I was asked to write a poem for a new anthology that's coming out, and it's titled "When I Was Straight." And Dustin Brookshire, you clever devil. But it took me a minute to wrap my head around how I would say that, right? How I would deal with that. And then I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be a vexillologist. That's a person who studies flags. And then I wanted to be a language interpreter. So I swallowed all the words in the SAT prep book because I like pissing my teachers off when I said shit they didn't understand, but they had a job. Okay. Teaching me. So this is When I Was Straight. There's a lot of SAT words in here. I had somebody, I was like, read this and tell me what you think. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna tell the truth. I had to look up 2 words. And then I read it again and it's awesome. So hopefully it's still that same way. When I Was Straight. Of dubious authenticity An origin story of my own divining. I was SAT prep strategy straight all through high school. Arcane thoughts of traditional never clung to the taste of my skin. If it was pleasure I sought, it could surely be found. Science fair special, football, or pom-poms. Maybe it was the easy in their desperation that drew me to them. The ability to bend and quick in and out of ideas soon forgotten. Or maybe it was the easy of conversations to the tune of dry humping that made me linger in soft places. I probably should have figured this shit out earlier, and maybe I did. By college, the thought of vacillating between the two no longer appealed to me, not willing to name a thing. I took to learning body language in a different direction. My path, more meander than rush hour, still moving in the same direction, just replacing straight with forward. That's that. We're going to get into this list, and coming up next, because you're not first, because two people went before you. Hello, we ain't picking on nobody. Sage, how are you? And are you sharing? Yes, 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 you are, because your name is on the list. So if this thing gets too close to that thing, it's gonna make a lot of feedback noise. Same on the bottom, okay? Y'all give it up for Sage.
Hi. Is this okay? I do remember how to use a microphone. That's good. I'm not much of a poet, but I do write fiction, at least in theory. I haven't written in a while, so this is kind of an old piece. It's an excerpt from a somewhat abandoned long-form project called Only Son, which is about a trans man who, in high school, he gets in a car accident and loses his twin sister and is severely injured. But the story is him sort of being benevolently haunted by her as he grows up and comes out and lives his life, which isn't actually that relevant to this excerpt because it's when they're little kids, but it provides some context. So this chapter is called Transmutation. A few months into dating the man who would become my husband, I mentioned to him that I believed my childhood was the happiest time of my life. It was before I told him about the accident. So when he gave that wry little smile and said, "All downhill from there, huh?" I had to turn away, uncomfortable with the truth he had unintentionally revealed through his teasing. But it isn't true, I don't think. Even in childhood, I was aware of a misalignment within me. My classmates sensed it as well, and although no one could put a name to my wrongness, they alienated me accordingly. A nervous kid, I was convinced I was always on the verge of a scolding despite the warmth of my home and the laudatory grades on my report cards. I was born only a few minutes after my sister, but the energy and fearlessness she cast out everywhere made me feel years younger. While she went on adventures with the other kids in the apartment complex, playing hide and seek in the alleys between the buildings and tracing insults in the dust on neighbors' cars, I stayed inside practicing piano scales and agonizing over long division homework. It wasn't an arrangement I disliked, but I felt that I should dislike it. I was dissatisfied with my own satisfaction. So my childhood, while happy enough, was not the highlight of my life. And yet, even now, it stands out bright in my mind. I think it was less the joy and more the physical latency. For the first 10 years of my life, no one questioned the flatness of my chest or the narrowness of my hips. My voice was not much higher than the boys my age, and as a result, it didn't mark me as being or not being of a certain category. I was full of potential that I had no desire to actually fulfill. But in the 5th grade, someone heard the clang of the metal waste dispenser when Hannah Polinsky was in the bathroom stall. And from then on, all the girls in my class huddled in circles, wide-eyed and conspiring, as though waiting for a slow-acting poison to hit. Did you get it? Did it hurt? What do you use? And of course, everything else. Height comparisons, not so subtle glances at each other's chests, hand-wringing about the sprouting of hair in unflattering places. The early bloomers were looked at with simultaneous pity and admiration. They were the martyrs on the front lines, given the holy mission of living through the ordeal we'd only known through outdated books, cheesy health class videos, or, if you were really lucky, the testimony from an older sister or cousin. There was the pretense of fear, but it was for the sake of a modesty we had already learned to enact. The fact was that everyone envied the girls who wore bras and never wore light-colored pants, who had to wash their hair twice as often and dodge the malicious fingers of boys looking to snap a bra strap. Except me. During recess, I would sit on the swing, staring fiercely down at my body, as though if I kept an eye on it, I could prevent it from selling me out. It wasn't the blood I feared. Our mother had never been squeamish about telling us these things. Besides, I'd helped with the laundry enough that I was used to the sight of a dark stain on underwear. Nor was it the horror stories of aches and cramps leaving girls bedridden. For all my skittishness, I'd always had a high pain tolerance. And it wasn't the impending hair growth, another thing my mother had already warned me about, having fought the battle herself. I could hide these things with tampons, with gritted teeth, with razors and long sleeve clothing. What I couldn't hide was the swell of my chest and the widening of my hips, the diminishing androgyny of my face. While other girls were stuffing their shirts with tissue, I was sitting by myself, daydreaming about cutting off breasts that I didn't have yet. I thought I would have more time. Ursha still looked the same, and from what I could piece together from childhood anecdotes, my mom didn't really start growing until halfway through middle school. But as the school year progressed, I felt and saw my mutation. I tried to ignore it for as long as I could, wearing my 2 big shirts and crossing my arms as much as I could at school. But one morning, my mother put her hand on my shoulder and, with a gentle smile, asked if I wanted to go shopping for clothes soon. She'd never offered to take me without Ursha, and I knew what she meant. Meanwhile, my sister, still inhabiting the same body as 4th grade, sulked over her cereal. Fate always liked to fuck with us that way. One of us was always cursed with what the other coveted. I agreed to the shopping trip, mostly because I'd seen other girls wearing sports bras and liked the flat look they created. Mere months into womanhood, I was already devising coping tools for my illness. So I let my mom take me to the mall in hopes of a tool to suppress my symptoms. She planned on taking me on a Friday night when Ursha was spending the night at a friend's, having taken note of her reaction at the kitchen table. Still, Ursha had iced me out on that bus ride that morning and refused to lend me her eraser in class. So I confronted her at recess, kicking Walsh irritably in her direction by the old slide. "If you really hate your chest that much," I said, "you can borrow one of the bras I get today and stuff it. That's what Danny does, and all the boys love her." "It's not the same," Ursha snapped, "and it's not about boys. It's about fairness. If we're twins, then we should get it at the same time." "That's only for identical twins, stupid." "Identical or fraternal, whatever. Fraternal." "I don't care," she screamed, loud enough that the boys on the monkey bars turned and stared at us. She'd had trouble saying her R's when she was littler, and I knew how much she hated being corrected on her occasional slip-ups. "All I'm saying is that even though we're twins and I'm the older one, you get to grow up faster, and you don't even like it. You made fun of Danny for stuffing, but at least she doesn't wear her ugly PE shirts all the time." I crossed my arms over the shirt in question, which had been too big when we bought it at a thrift store a few years ago and was now dangerously close to fitting. "Well, sorry that I don't want every boy in class staring at me all the time." "Then how come you wear them at home, too?" She threw her hands out in front of her, as though flaunting the freedom of her arms to move away from her chest. "Do you even like being a girl?" It wasn't the first time Ursha had struck me silent with a question. For all her neglected assignments and misspoken syllables, from a young age she possessed a sharp eye for other people's shame, especially when it came to me. But at the same time, it struck me as such an extraordinarily stupid question. How could my girlhood be calculated by the contour of my body and how I reacted to it? Was that all that it was? Was it really so simple, so inane, that it could be achieved by a training bra and wads of toilet paper if, like Danny, you were desperate enough to strive for it? Or was that the real girlhood, the desperation, the yearning, the acidic jealousy that was causing my sister and I to mock each other's pain instead of questioning its necessity? But of course, at 11, I had no words to say this, only the furious knowledge that she was right without really knowing why. So I scooped up a handful of dirt and threw it into her face, yelling, "Of course I do." The outburst cost me my trip to the mall that evening. My mom went without me and bought me some ugly nude underwires, no sports bras. I learned to hook and unhook them from the back within the week. In the end, Ursha wasn't far behind me. She ended up getting her period early one morning the following summer, the last summer we shared a room. She'd cast the quilt off of her legs, fearing she'd wet the bed, not knowing I was awake on the other side of the room. We both stared at the gash of red on the sheet, shocked at its intrusiveness. Our parents were both out at work, and we couldn't find the laundry quarters, so even though we scrubbed at it, the stain never completely came out. I still have my breasts. I don't like to bind them either. My ribs took a hit in the crash, and pressure on them hurts even now. They don't bother me like they used to. I could boast that it's self-acceptance, but I think I'm just tired. I've had enough stitches for one lifetime. Thank you.
That was awesome. I want to read more. That was great. Like, that's a fantastic chapter. Thank you. Let's see. And now we have Emily Ellis. Yes.
All the way to the stage.
Yes, all the way to the stage. All the way. Yeah, which actually, whoa. Yeah, yeah.
In order for you to be seen, though, you gotta get closer.
Okay.
To that one.
Yeah.
Move the music.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, is it this way?
I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, you got that better.
This one?
Oh, that one, yeah.
Great. So hi. I wrote this poem the last time that my mother visited me, and yeah, I thought it might be nice to share it. It's, I guess, a little bit about grief, even though she is alive, but it's kind of about like the distance and or the grief you can kind of feel with someone that you feel a lot of distance with. So you clean your glasses so often. You say there's something about the material that makes them difficult to clean, or maybe it's the shape of them. I wish I could clean your glasses for you. I would take off the film that must be covering them on the inside. It's probably gray or beige, a color that makes the world shine less brightly, but in a way that only you can see. Maybe that film creates a reflection, a mirror, so that all you can see in anyone else, anything else, is your own pain. I wish I could clean your glasses for you so that you might see the world the way I see it, the bad with the good, in people and ideas. That although the few in power are poisoning the earth and my body, I am loved. And that love warms right through the pain in my body-mind until I'm reminded of why I feel. I wish you could see that although more and more governments try to outlaw my very existence, I am liberated. I am full. I am free. I wish I could clean your glasses so that you could see me, Mother. And maybe I could build a new film to put on the inside of your glasses. A film that would reflect the joy, the depth, the beautiful contradiction that is living, so that it might lift your spirits. What do you love? What do you dream? What gives you joy? Do you know? What could life be if you fed your body, fed your spirit? Would your frail, bitter, lonely self feel love the way I do? So full, so fearless, but you've only got one pair of glasses. You'll probably die with those glasses on, and I'll not know you, and you'll not know me, but I'll love you, whether you do or not.
All right. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And next we have Andrea. Did I say it right? Or is it Andrea? Andrea? Andrea. See, I tried to make it all fancy. Y'all give it up for Andrea.
It's Andrea, by the way.
Andrea.
It's okay. Well, my poem dovetails pretty nicely with theirs. It's also about my mom and my aunt. I grew up in Utah. I was Mormon, and like from the age of 6, I remember my dad telling me what being gay was and how it was bad, and that I knew I was in trouble. But I thought, I was like, that actually sounds pretty nice. Actually, I didn't know that was an option. And then imagine that they taught us, as Mormons, that there's plural wives. And so I didn't know the term for cognitive dissonance yet, but I knew it was an inherent part of the religion. So I was like, oh, maybe this is cognitive dissonance in a good way, so I can have plural wives.
Right.
I was very disappointed when I found out this was not the case, but I lived a life of pretty compulsive heteronormativity that didn't serve me very well. And eventually it sort of fell apart in my 30s, but I didn't really I had 2 kids. I wanted to start a career. I didn't know what else to do, but my mom also, she was still devout, but the patriarchy hadn't served her very well either. But I asked her if she would come live with me, if that was a good fit for her. And even though she was still devout and that she knew all of my truths, if we could somehow come together in love. So we've lived together for a few years now, and it's been really lovely, actually. And my aunt came to visit, so her sister came to visit this year, and it was all that my mom talked about for months. And my Aunt Ruth was maybe my biggest glimpse into maybe an autonomous life. She was the only woman I knew who chose her own career, lived in her own house without a man. And this was just mind blowing to me. Even as like a 7-year-old, I was like, she has her own house, like just ridiculous. So, but this is for my Aunt Ruth and for my mom. When Ruth comes, the table will be laid with every good thing you've tasted since you 2 last ate. You will unpack your heirloom china and savor seasons past on the blue, forget-me-not porcelain that never fell out of love with you. When Ruth comes, we will visit every museum and waterfall for miles. We will dine at the tea house with the best Southern food. When Ruth comes, you will not spill your secret sorrows, for you have already dropped those into the telephone by and by. When Ruth comes, you will share magenta fireworks of flowers in the fresh-planted garden, view the lightning beetles from the patio deck. You will remember your mother's deathbed confession was a wish of dyeing her hair the same red color you have claimed for yourself. You will remember she once told you not to, and you will forgive her not knowing how to give permission for what she was not allowed to take. When Ruth comes, you will sit at the table of your daughters, who wear the lives you warned them about like diadems, and we shall all wear our grandmother's crown.
Oh, that's awesome.
Love that idea of the porcelain not forgetting you. That was really awesome. It's beautiful. And next we have Brianna Campbell. Oh, hi.
All right. Hi, y'all. My name is Brianna. You can call me Bree. Okay, I think we're gonna start in the book. I just want to read 2 tonight. Okay. Home. 6 hours and 14 minutes away. GPS reminds, unwavering, insistent. It doesn't care about changing leaves, knit sweaters after the sun falls, the way my muscles memorize the splitting of roads. She'll never leave me. Fat from her fried shrimp, tan lines that persevere, pale breasts to still warm shoulders. My eyes always skim the still of a lake for a gator's head, fearing for citrus freezes, storms that flood you and the unsuspecting streets. Sand lingers in the bottoms of my bags, soles of my shoes. Okay, let me find this one really fast. My apologies. Okay, here we go. 5'8" hole in the world. Dry shower floor on the daily. Toothpaste untouched. An unopened door personified. Her bread molds by Monday. A barely afforded room sits like a time capsule, sheets smelling of wet sex and boxes unpacked. The quietest roommate is impatient, is eating unbuttered grits, peeling a hard-boiled egg she'd never eat if she were home. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing and for being here tonight. Keep on coming back because we're going to be here. Right now, put your hands together for Tess.
First, I want to say I'm really happy to be here. I'm from a city where this sort of space is a little easier to find, and I really like living in Atlanta, but I'm very happy that this exists, and I'm very happy that I found it.
Yay!
So thank you.
Welcome.
I have 2 poems tonight. The first is new, and the second is a love poem. Suburban vocabulary lesson. Concern. There's a stranger on my lawn. Concern. The flowers decided they hate me. They have decided to look bad. Bad. Poor investment. Bad. Apple. Moldy apple. Why would she rather be the worm? Why? Worm. Bisected. Confusing. Crawling in 2 directions. Worm. Good for the earth if it stays in the earth. Earth. A convenience like a pussy.
Whoa.
Pussy. Vulgar shock value. Shock. Purposefully turned the wrong way. Purposefully missing the point. Point. Deflect from dying. Dying. Guilty fantasy. Dying. Like declaring bankruptcy, aka absolution. Dying. The last thing we deserve. Thank you.
and a love poem. When my love comes home, I'll greet them at the door with my waist for their hands, my kiss for their cheekbone. I'll build them a spring cottage with my soft arms, words floating between us like sated bats in the late dusk. It's 3 years of us this week since we each waited, baited, for each other's kiss, small, timid, tender, roaring. Now we light tapered candles on the table we split from the antique store. We grocery list, we wedding guest. I have met you as a child. Tonight, which is like all other nights, we approach the door with our little lives in hand, one life each side, crashing joyous, puppy tangle limbs, lips promising tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, that was so great. And I love that word association from one thing to the next thing in the first poem. That was awesome and so sweet. All right. We're like getting through this. I love this list. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Charis, for having us here. Next, we have Billy coming up to the mic. Yes, Billy!
Hi, everybody. This is 2 examples of why they don't let me write love poems anymore. This is The Problem with Punishment, or The Lesbian Prometheus. The god's mistake was saying forever and thinking we wouldn't have time to fall for each other. On a long enough timeline, a liver is as good as a promise. Claws kiss as deeply as a tongue, and the right kind of pain is calligraphy. We were made for each other, for the presence and the little epistles, finding hope in hunger and the will of the gods, my stitched skin, a wax seal, a letter I write you, dear eagle. Tear the mailbox of my torso open each morning. Find it purpled and wine drunk, ripe and sweetly bleeding, this thing again, this gift for you. I make a new one every day. Being trans and being online means you fall in love with people who live very far away, frequently. So this is a poem that I wrote for somebody who is very far away, frequently. When the only light is a laptop. The first time you meet her will be an abstraction. A bird watcher with fogged binoculars, her voice will be a chorus of clicks, a frantic Morse code, a hieroglyph in cyber sand. You will wave to her, and it will feel like a nervous balloon, a flicker and it's gone in the teeth of a passing passenger jet. You will learn a new alphabet of nouns and bend your tongue to each curious and bursting fruit. You will bend distance into more distance until distance itself bends into a dark room. She will speak and a black light will snap on. She will speak and you are a neon crime scene. You will want her like water, like data in a cloud of more data, like a laugh in a monsoon of whispers. You will close your laptop and open it again. You will clench and unclench your fists. You will forget the days of the week. Every day will become the same. Every day will be someday, soon.
All right, thank you so much. All right. Maya, how are you? And welcome to the mic.
But my piece today is based on this idea I'm having to like kind of create a comic that is semi-autobiographical, and I'm like using colors as an analogy for understanding different parts of myself.
Awesome.
But yeah. So anyways, this is one. It's titled Baby Blue, and I'm calling the series Bleeding Color. All right. So, an unfamiliar light blue finds me on days when I'm alone, unprotected in the world. I don't know if it means to. I think this blue tries to soothe and inform, but I am someone who struggles on the receiving end of such sentiment. So, when sweet baby blue shows up, my eyes get bright and flash with fury, because it seems that sweetness is meant to mock me. Mock the angel I could have been, want to be, mock the colors that flash far brighter behind my eyes, dimming this blue's voice in surreal moments. Like the swirls of scarlet and crimson behind the black of the back of my eyelids that make me shake and shout with their intensity. Baby blue still sees things I'm blind to now. Baby blue still laughs at simple pleasures. Baby blue twirls until she feels the world spinning under her feet when she closes her eyes, imagining herself balancing on the axis keeping the world moving. Baby blue knows how to ask questions fearlessly and stands up for herself at every turn. Baby blue is just learning the joy of music and the care one might find in a home. One day I find the courage to ask, sweet, strange little baby blue, do I know you? For I only react to things I know so strongly. She says yes, and I am trying, digging, searching, raking, tearing, poring over every crevasse within me to see if I can locate where such life originated and treasure what might be left. When she visits again, baby blue beams brighter than I've ever felt before. She knows I see her now for who she is after all this time. And baby blue is little me. That is me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that of being different parts of yourself as colors. That's pretty cool. Next we have a reader who hasn't been here in a while. I haven't seen her in so long. Gail Reader. Gail Reader, all the way to the from the back to the front. It's so good to see you, love.
In person.
In person.
It's just good to be anywhere. So the featured reader tonight was in a writing group with me. And one day she said to me, "You like to rhyme so much, you should write sonnets." And my mother wrote in my baby book, I was writing rhymes from the time I was 3. So then I got to thinking how Bob Dylan was the first rapper. And then one day in the shower, I started turning my sonnets into a rap song. It sounded good in the shower. This is called Hortus Interruptus. I'm just not good at letting go. I need some help, you see. My house is overflowing. I am drowning in debris. The trip from hand to waste can is filled with deep regret. Oh, I just can't let it go. I might still need it yet. And so my house runs over and is running over me, swimming through the ephemera and long lost memories. Someone help me with my good intentions. Organize an intervention. Won't you please, please help me? Help me. Anyway. First time I've done that in public. Your shower would be great. It does sound good in the shower. And I'd like to read a poem I wrote recently. I have a lot of friends that have been dying. In fact, I have a collection of death poems that is alarmingly large. My friend Linda. Oh, yes. You left life's party too early. We didn't even have time to cut the cake. It still sits on a plate in the kitchen, too old to eat, but beautiful all the same. I know you lived for your art, but who knew art could kill you? If you could have lived longer, I know you would have made a collage from your spattered blood. I am throwing away your gatherings for collage. I put them away with regret and whisper to them, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you will never be art. The artist has died. Her hands are at rest. The stories are unfinished. And you, pieces of the past, will become a burning fire, perhaps to light a flame in someone else's heart.
Thank you, Gail. That was Gail, everybody. Yeah. And I'm going to say it right this time. Amalia. Yes! Come to the stage. And remind everybody of the book they should be buying that also exists in this place.
Hi, my name is Amalia. My poetry collection is here back there. So if you like what you hear, I brought an extra copy because I don't know how many there are. But yes, that's me. Let's see what I've got. So I'm going to read a few new pieces. New. Read all about it. So here's the first one. You wouldn't believe that I can drive. Another stereotype struck down right behind angry dyke, jealous woman. Another pit in the ground filled with dirt I dug up in the first place. The antithesis of what you thought of me, simple and loose. A string balloon tied to your brick wall, breathing in while you stayed still. You wouldn't believe that I've got a home surrounded by cut grass and big windows, powered by the beating of two thumping hearts together. Something you'd think I wasn't strong enough for. Although this could be me projecting my pain onto your physicality. But what fun is that? It's always been easier to hate you than admit how the blood hasn't clotted after all these years, just scarred over, but still tears through every once in a while. Bandages on alcohol wipes. Nothing can clean you up. Oil in my water. Sad. Great. Second one. In the black and white of the morning, I can barely catch your face. Tender eyes, a soft painted smile. Is it really you that wakes me? The person who swooped me up, shook me to make me laugh, then pulled me in close to seal in the safety. Or is it the fear that is still the captain of your vessel? When your gaze meets mine, are you saying, does this riverbed dry up or flow along the smooth rocks forever? Oh, honey, that's up to you. As the rocks are, I always have been. Planted in the red Georgia clay, the current has softened my edges. I've always been good at adapting. Thought, willingness, and capability are solid creatures. In the black and white of the morning, I can see how you love me. The soft touch on my cheek, the gentle flutter in my chest, and the river comes flooding in, melting me back to you. Whoa. Right, I'll close with this one. Making myself feel weird for no reason. Kicking rocks into my guts like the shoreline, holding my breath till my lungs hurt with no water to prevent me from breathing. Am I sick in the head? Loving the pain a bit too much, the rush of nostalgia and memory flood. There is a brain barely formed in my head, scrawling letters and hold just barely to its stem for balance. Pen running out of ink, not a fan of pencils. What's keeping me there when here I am, floating on the Black Sea, engulfed in salt and skin? The urge to dive is suffocating. I yell in bubbles with no echo to help me. Hands moving slow motion, grabbing a flutter that feels like happiness is the last of the air leaving my throat.
Yeah!
Thank you. Here's my book.
Yes, fabulous. The fabulous feature you gave too. Awesomeness. Okay, and then closing out our open mic list is Win. Yes.
So this one I'm reading a little early in the year. It's called Halloween, but I'm reading it today because a little self promo. If you guys are familiar with Wussy magazine, it's gonna be published next month. It's my first publication, so I'm very proud. So if you see the magazine next month, you can open it and see my name. I'm very excited. Vampiric priest seems a little heavy-handed. Each time I drank, I fell a little further, his touch burning on my skin, lies and wine blood on my lips turned to ash in my stomach. The thrift store Bible in my hands like a bomb. I haven't touched this sort of violence since 12. I knew it could rip me to shreds, and my body won't bring salvation. You know, I used to want to be a nun. I thought I could hide from men or God, but never both. Now I'm walking alone on the street in my hand-me-down binder and darkened brows, still struggling to breathe, but this time choking on fake blood and city smell, holding this Bible like a weapon, like a damned man. Creature of the night, I cross from a lamppost in death throes, blinking out some migraine miracle in Morse code. I cast my eyes down, don't want to see another burning bush. God knows I've burned before. My Frankenstein's inversed, myself the victor, her creation writhing away from her loving grasp, mutilating what she gave to me like some slasher flick, refusing her favor for my own twisted act of creation. Your shattered reflection I'm too sharp to touch, heavy contour masking this space once yours, and not enough will wash away for either of us. I'm not sure who's the monster now. My face is still too gentle to be a vampire, priest, man, reduced to a shadow but no longer yours, for tonight I'll relish these darkened streets. And after a shower in the morning light, crisp November stealing away this childhood masquerade, I'll still be a monster, but my own.
Yeah!
I was not going to read this one today, but I decided to keep on the theme of sad mom poetry. Bear with me a little bit because I didn't have time to type it out, and my handwriting looks like this. If I stumble a little bit, sorry about it. So I wrote this. I don't know if there's much backstory to it. Just after a phone call with my mom, like, you know how it goes. Okay. I will never make you happy. You will never see your face in mine. Your life was made of metal, wedding bands, your shining nurse's badge, engagement cutlery laid out just so, your shackles polished, perfect, and I'm meant to be better than you. Every pore polished, my chains oiled and perfect, not a trace of dirt or tears. My voice is soft. Did you know that? I heard it on my best friend's voicemail after talking to you. I thought I was shouting. I'm using every curse word you never taught me. And still I sound gentle. I sound like someone I think I would like. I thought it would have been uglier. I'm using every foul word I know, showing the raw, exposed nerves, voice breaking, ragged, jagged on it's fine. How is that person still so gentle? Did you know I love hard, harder than I hit? I found out holding someone's arm, gasping for air, tears in my eyes, a smile on my lips. Did you know you could do that? Did you know it doesn't have to be like this? I still write to you. I still beg to know you in this battered notebook after we hang up the phone. Maybe one day I'll rip out a page and mail it to you. You never learned to read my handwriting, but it's not illegible. A boy from my high school could read it flawlessly. I promise these words have meaning. I write you so many poems now, just like you always wanted, only you can't see. They're wrong, of course, because they're mine. I stopped painting because you only asked for flowers. You hated sharp teeth and hard eyes. I stopped writing because I didn't say what you wanted. It's like I've lost some second language, every birthday staring blankly at paper, wishing you'd never seen how soft I can be because I don't know how to get it back. Strangers look at me confused when I describe myself. Too loud, too thoughtless, selfish, ignoring you, invisible, opinionated, unfriendly, brutal creature surviving on stolen mercy. I was a monster in a zoo. I have the marks to prove it. I was born to be a mirror. I was born to be you. I am unrecognizable to you. I am described by strangers in words I don't know which version of me, which version of you is real. I can't put on your chains. I've tried. I fall through them like water. Are your blood-rusted hinges worth it, these chopped up, lifeless pieces of me? You won't win anything. I found out I'm not monstrous enough for a bounty on my head, and too scarred over at this point to bring you that blue ribbon. Even the meat on my bones is gamey and tough. Could it not satisfy you to know me? If I sent you this, or the last one, or the whole goddamn notebook, my every last confession, would you understand this tattered tome of bleeding ink, chicken scratch scrolls of what I never said? I promise you, these words have meaning.
Thank you so much. Awesome. And congratulations on being published. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm going to remind you all, although I never mentioned it. Wednesday, next Wednesday, I have a writing workshop at the Arts Exchange in the gallery, in the Jackson Clare Gallery. The art show we have up now is called The Haunts of Black Kirby. So we're doing comic book poetry. If you're in, and it's free because we got this big old grant, yay, grant money, to do all these programs around this art show. So if you're interested in writing expressively with me, I'll be at the Arts Exchange next Wednesday night at 7:00, and we will write poems in the gallery. And sometimes our featured reader comes and writes poems at the Arts Exchange with me as well. So we heard the bio at the beginning because I don't have it in my hands on your book. Y'all put your hands together right now for our featured reader. Y'all give it up for Jill.
That thing's not going to.
It's going to go up and down, but it won't go.
I just want it somewhere near my mouth.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Arts Exchange. I get so much inspiration there. It's a long drive for me, but I make it as often as I can. This is my book, Witness Cremation, and it took a long time to put this thing together. My partner, Sandy, has been dead now for, that's a weird word, for 7 years. I'm in my 7th year, so I finally got it done. I could go and work with the poems a little bit without kind of freaking myself out. And found somebody who wanted to put their energy into my work and published it for me, and that's nice. So I'm just going to read a few poems out of this, and I'm going to read a new poem that I can't read just anywhere, and that I think kind of goes with these poems. And then I'm going to do a slam poem for you.
Yay.
Yeah. So Back in baby's arms, day 14. Came the days when I'd do anything or most anything to see her smile, my smiling girl, her ready for any camera, anytime. So when a commercial plays this bouncy tune, I'm air guitaring, lip syncing, dancing it for her there on the sofa, almost too ill to sit up. And she smiles every time. Back in baby's arms bounds through my mind today, Tuesday, 2 weeks from when I woke, her hand in mine to find her gone. She left May 24th, 2016. This is the day after I went to get some lunch for myself, and she held tight to my hand, finally, reluctantly releasing it. I wish I'd foregone lunch, but I didn't. I ate slowly and cleaned up, then back to her. We had moved the bed so I'd never again have to let her hand go in this life, and that's what happened. Pre-dawn, I woke, her hand in mine, arm limp, cold head, and I, a fool, lost and groundless, not believing that she'd really left me. It's funny about that. You know, yeah. And yet, anyway. This one is 194 days, so in the first year still. I cook. I cook as though our life together were still physical. I don't hold you. I don't let you go. I am just here being in my changed life. The winter days storm outside. Inside you are everywhere. And I like that. But I don't try. I don't not try. The flowers this week of red and gold light the space. Home, alone, not holding on or letting go, drifting easy on the current, paddle secured. The thing about reading poems to people is it gives you a way to edit. And these poems are still hard to go. I was so cranky yesterday. And I thought, oh, you're doing those poems, you're rehearsing those poems, that's fine. So it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back into a hard place in the past. This is day 263, so still in the first year. A massacre of time. The days of the month drop in a massacre of time. It's all paradoxical how the same hours can be both the moments creeping by and the calendar flipping animated, showing a series of stills so fast they become a life. And you seem still here, though irretrievably gone, lost. You're the mystery and the answer, and the one waiting, shifting weight back and forth from one foot to the other, while I slowly turn back toward life. And then in 2019, actually, Karen told me there was Slam in Atlanta, and the community I had been writing in for 30 years, and that had been enough for me. I was happy with woman rights, and we had a terrible split. And I felt like a poetry immigrant, like I didn't have, my home had been destroyed. So I came to Atlanta and kind of picked up my life again and started going. This is that spring just before I got to Atlanta. It's called Little Bit. The illusion of her sitting on a stone wall waiting with something broken in her hands being fixed beside the small worn gate at this isolated crossing far into wilderness. This illusion drifts and covers like a blanket the dying happening in this room. Now well acquainted with the actual part we can know, the cold, the smell, the absence, as whoever is there leaves me here again. Okay, and I'm going to read the last poem, and this was after I had started going to Java Speaks, which was on site then, and I don't know, I think it kind of really picked me up. And it was written when the in 2019 when the Queen Anne's lace blooms. It took days of thought on 6-lane freeways, seeing Queen Anne's lace brightening the roadsides, reminding me of my ghost lover who had a sharp eye and knife for a well-shaped branch of bittersweet or a mason jar of highway lace, showing up with flowers until our faces wrinkled and cigarettes took her. On this side of the road, I finally find a fairly safe pull-off and phone pick a nice bunch, thinking gratitude toward her for keeping on trying, for staying, for bringing flowers. So when we had the split with women rights, I went with the inclusive side, and the lesbian separatists. A lot of my friends are over there, and it's been a little bit tattered remnants of things. But a friend of mine has invited me a couple of times to come to one of the. It's not exactly lesbian separatist, but it's lesbians writing about, it is actually. I mean, they're a little bit daunting because of the ideological difference. But one thing that's interesting about them, they're about 20% BIPOC, a lot more diversity than the inclusive side, oddly enough. And the woman who gave this workshop to this open mic that I went to was named Wynn, and she was a Black woman. And I don't think you would have gotten this prompt anywhere except in a lesbian workshop. So the prompt is the title of the poem, Write About the Taste of a Woman. This one almost makes me cry. Tomorrow it will no doubt catch up and storm my day. It seems to work that way. Tonight, suddenly, I see her body in my mind again, the softness pink and moist, ready anytime I ask or try. And I think of the years of returns from anger, from negotiations cut off and then resumed, and how we knew how to make it work for us. The favored place led up too slowly, when she, always waterfalling like a trout upstreaming, she took her place and I took mine, the softness of her like another mouth. That's where I almost cry. It stops me. The smell fresh as new sweat, the slight salt, the only way inside with her. How everything eased into sleep, and next day the secret smiles. All that tenderness she loved, as tongue learned her secrets, explored her folds and centers that never had words, just touch, movement. These parts return now clear as life. My tongue rattles around in my mouth searching, teeth scratching at some invisible door, and I can taste the sweetness, see her pink and wet like my face now as things I wanted break. I still see her wide open, feel her warm moistness, and remember our laughter in those best years when joy and anger meshed like a seesaw, the hinge opening, closing, us caught in that cycle, always returning, healing with her all over my face, then turning over to sleep, not quite able to get wrapped close enough. The years of it finally balanced in a binary. The last decade calm, content, with known issues hashed into breakfast, our clothes settled into familiar unities of color, our disagreements left alone. We turned to find one another with lazy hands and mouths, sometimes drifting off with her inside me, or my hand easy as Venus, her tiny stiffness settled. I can see her body still, the ridge between her breasts, the pillow centers of her pleasure, eager for me to pull her up to completion and let her sleep. My hand still on her, or hers on me. Sometimes I couldn't sleep till she got up at dawn. I'd forgotten that, but her body vivid as a sunlit day, a moon bright night, like a ghost limb, fragrant, wet, and softly pink. I haven't forgotten that, though now just white ash. So the book is available here if anybody's interested in that. And I thought I would try to lift the energy in the room a little bit with a slam poem. As I say, it's been 7 years. I've been a widow now, and I've taken up a lot of new activities. I slam, I sail, I do a lot of outside stuff, including biking. And I'm seeing interesting women again. And I kind of move towards someone or move back, you know, just kind of wondering if there is really another person in the world that would balance with me. When you've been creating relationship with, I don't think I can stop and manage that right now. Thank you, though.
It's going to keep happening. When you start stopping, it's going to keep happening. I know shit.
Okay. When you've been creating relationship with someone for half your life, nobody could break us. Even in the end, she didn't want to leave. So I'm kind of looking at these other women, but you know, it's all kind of fraught. And how's it going, you ask? Well, after all of this time with this with this woman, I smoked 2 cigarettes last week.
Oh,
It's really wrecked me. I'm not going to do that again. When you've been with this one woman for this long time, you know, you're confident. You're wide open and confident. And the first curve took me down into a hard landing. A little blood, a lot of purple bruising, hands scuffed and scraped. Already limping from an earlier disaster, hitting a wall, immobile as death, I wondered if biking was my sport. If I was too old. If the crumpled mess of my bike could be repaired. Poring over the market for one at least as good as the old one, or better even, with newer tech and lighter alloys. I saw a black one, all shiny, sparkling like fireflies, reminding me that the world is a big place full of bikes. Here was one as lovely as the others and totally different, with a fiery energy kicking back. Around the second curve, I lost control, skidding over the berm without a scratch to hurt a shining surface, but picking out a tire and the sleeve of my favorite jersey. It hurt just a little when a friend settled in and put it on a payment plan. Back at the bike shop, a galaxy of blazing stars shot across the center bar of a night blue beauty, catching me like a straight woman, matching my colors and changing things with a kiss. This one, sleek as a racer, strong enough for a mountain cushion with top-of-the-line shocks, took me around the first curve with shaky confidence and the second with ease. Watching her move with almost magical calm, like the stage after the wind, after the hard pumping up hills, the hops over rock gardens' roots, and I know I can't afford this bike. This easy going sweetness, strong body, fat tires, the smooth and nimble ride. This one, they agree to a hold. I go home, wondering what I could sell of what I own, considering what would it take.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, we want to thank you so much for coming out and hanging with us tonight at Charis Books and More. For Cliterati, remember, don't be illiterate. God will hate your words. And
we have books for sale. We have Witness Cremation for sale, which is Jill's book. We also have a very special delivery from one Karen G. Karen, we have copies of Karen's book for sale because who is our feature next month? Finally. That's right. It's Karen G. So we would love for you to come back and celebrate Karen in a different way. We're going to celebrate her book, which we're really excited about. I also want to lift up, we have another poetry series that is just getting off the ground called Meet Me There. It is curated by Samuel Ace, who's an amazing trans poet. And Billy, who read tonight, is going to be our feature for that next month. So come out, double header of poetry next month. And Emerson Whitney is the out-of-state poet who's going to, or writer who's going to be involved in that. So thank you all for being with us. If you would like to get your book signed by Jill or get a pre-signed copy of Karen's book for next month, hang out, buy your books. Amalia's book is also here. You can get that signed by her. So lots of great things happening.
Theresa Davis's book is also
I'm
here.
sorry, yes. Let me not be remiss. Theresa Davis's books have been here so long, sometimes I forget.
Did you just call me old?
No, I'm saying you were the path maker and the groundbreaker. So I'm gonna say goodnight to everybody watching virtually at home. Thank you so much.
Thank you.